Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Design a Remote Team Culture webinar. My name is Gustavo Razzetti. I'm going to be your host today. So thank you for joining me. And if you like, I'm in Chicago. Why don't you share where you're joining us from? In which country, city are you based currently? Use the chat box to share with everyone. So we have someone from France. Welcome, Abdallah. UK's Stratford upon Avon, Portugal. So great, UK, Spain, Indonesia. So it's amazing to have people from all over the world getting together. Naina from Montreal, Canada, Etiquette from Istanbul. It's great to have people joining and getting together to discuss this current topic, which is how can we build a remote culture? How can we remote proof our teams to make sure that we thrive and they can succeed in this current scenario. So I'm going to start sharing the deck. Find the deck. Okay, I guess this is it. And I hope you're in the right webinar once again. This is how to design a remote team culture. Okay, so I'm going to get started. My name, for those that you don't know me, is Gustavo Razzetti. I'm the CEO and founder of Liberationist. We are a consulting firm that help teams and organizations design a workplace culture that precedes positive results. So the culture is not just having fun, getting along well with your teammates, which of course is important, but it's about how you create the right work environment to make sure that your team and your company perform as well as possible. What we're going to be seeing and addressing today is basically, it's a short webinar, right? And I'm going to be talking about what are the implications. We all know that the current situation, the current crisis has disrupted the workplace. We're going to discuss why and also what we can do about it. I'm going to share a framework, an approach of how your team can help, how can it help your team, to recover rhythm and productivity. Understanding the emotions, the tensions, the losses that this new situation is bringing to your team. I'm going to also introduce the Remote Culture Canvas, a tool that's going to help design how your team wants to work together in this remote scenario. And of course, at the end, I'm going to be addressing all your questions. I'm going to try to engage you as much as I can. And we're going to start with a quick question. Once again, use the chat so we can all see your answers. How is the current crisis, the current situation disrupting how your team or your organization is working? I can imagine everything. I've been hearing lots of stuff from different people, from clients, from colleagues, but I want to hear your thoughts and ideas. So how's the current situation, the current crisis disrupting your team? So we have someone that client work is being canceled, unable to access documents, time wasting, checking the news every 5 minutes, somehow disruptive, negative thoughts influencing people, a lot of remote collaboration, anxiety and fear with the COVID-19, balancing homeschooling with work, impacting training opportunities for new hires and learning curves. So, it's a lot of things that some are new, some are things that we've been observing the past 3 weeks, bosses becoming more over demanding, a lot, So it's not easy. It's not easy. We're living in very difficult times, but I don't want to be overly optimistic, but those who know me, I'm very positive and I'm always looking for what's the opportunity. And what we're going to discuss today is, yes, those realities, new people joining, the inability to onboard them, and all those tensions are facts. The question is, what can we do about it? How can we adapt our behavior and make sure that we can thrive the best we can in this current situation? So one thing that's happening is any crisis, and this particular crisis that took the world by storm, like it's the first global disruption that happened almost everywhere at the same time, right? Basically, any crisis brings the best out of people, but also the worst. And many of the things that you're sharing on the chat, it basically has to do with trust is being put to the test. So imagine that you're working in a team that people don't trust each other that much. If they don't do that when they're sitting right next to each other in the same office and seeing each other regularly, what's going to happen when it comes to trusting people that you're not seeing as usual as you used to? We know that bad practices, so companies that are either over-controlling, that they manage inefficient meetings and have a lot of unproductive emails and calls and so on and so forth, those things are getting worse because this tension is basically creating more issues. We know that some of you mentioned that, bosses that are controlling, that don't trust people, are getting even more anxious because they cannot see where the people are. What are they doing? So they get really nervous. I see that a lot of people are having collaboration and communication issues. They're suffering from it. Sometimes they are being inefficient. In many cases, they are over-communicating, like adding more drama to the situation. And in the end, what's basically the most important fact is that teams are losing their rhythm. They've lost productivity. So this acceleration of remote work, because it's a forced acceleration of work. Yeah, there were a lot of people that have been working remotely, in the normal remote situation. It was mostly because it was a choice for many people that say, either every day or 1 or 2 days a week, I was working from home. And it was some people doing it. It was more of a proactive adoption. I am doing that because I want to. And people could basically adapt to that learning curve. It was hard. It is hard to work remote, especially when not everyone. But now we're in a situation which is abnormal because we are all being forced to stay at home. Most of the organizations have to work remotely. So everyone's doing it. So it's creating a lot of disruption because people are not used to. I was talking last night to someone that was talking to the CEO of a company, and they were sharing a presentation and say, I'm going to share my screen. And the guy was asking, what? So even the most basic practices for some people are really disturbing. This is producing an accelerated learning that's creating a lot of issues. So it's becoming harder to work remotely, but also more stressful. And also taking into consideration the health threat and all the conditions around this abnormal remote work situation. So the question that many people ask me, so clients, very senior executives, is like, okay, I'm seeing like there's this deep, in terms of productivity. How can I recover and regain the rhythm, the productivity that my team used to have? So we're used to this normal situation. Now we face this disruption that, as I mentioned before, was boom, sudden for many countries and many organizations. And everyone's expecting to say, okay, you know what? I want to get back to normal, because like in any change, we always miss the past and we say, okay, when are we going to get back to normal? But you know what? We need to say goodbye to the normal, to the things that we knew, to things business as usual. That's not going to happen anymore. We're not going to come out of this disruption working and collaborating and operating in the same way we used to before this disruption. So we need to welcome the new normal. And I don't want to create any expectations. I don't know how that normal looks like or what it's going to be about. And I don't think anyone can. I think that the interesting part of this huge global disruption is we're all in this together. Everyone's lost and no one knows what's going to happen next. So the promoters of remote work said, you know what, after this crisis, everyone's going to continue working remotely. The more traditionalists and people that resist change say, no, we're going to get back to normal. My 2 cents is I think that things are going to change and there's going to be an acceleration of remote work, but also we need to get back at that physical interaction. So there's going to be a new normal, and it's going to take a long while for us to define and discover what it's all about. So what can we do in this disruption? So how can you help your team adapt? If you're a team member, a team leader, or coach, as many of the people that are joining us as well. So it's important to acknowledge that your team has emotions. You guys share a lot of issues that you're facing, projects being stopped, the anxiety, everything that you mentioned in the chat. So well, that same is happening to your team members, to your colleagues. And many bosses expect people to get back to normal, to get back to productivity without addressing those emotions. So as a leader, are you engaging your team from a place of calm or from one of anxiety? No? So that's very important that you first connect with your own emotions, you do a little bit of self-awareness, you relax, because if you're not calm, your team is going to be calm. And if your team is not calm, it's not going to be productive, okay? So it's about being compassionate, it's about trusting your team more than ever, but most importantly, be patient. So it's going to take time for things to settle. There's a lot of people, especially last week that I was talking to, they were saying, you know what, I cannot work, I'm lost, I'm afraid, I'm anxious, and I don't know how to address this with my boss. And that's a big issue, no? Because if they cannot have this open conversation with their managers, who's going to help them move forward? So it's your role to help define, and that's what we're going to discuss today. How can we design the new experience as a team, but also being helpful? Don't assume that people need exactly what you need, or that every team member needs exactly the same support. So ask them, no? Create a safe space for your team to share with you how they're feeling, what's affecting them. Is it technology, is it rules, is it trust issues? What is affecting their performance, and how can you help them move on? So going back to this curve that I showed before, and we're going to use this like a framework. So we have this shock that create a dip. So now, how can we regain this momentum, no, and productivity? First of all, we need to reframe the situation from an emotional, and a mindset standpoint. We need to redesign what kind of culture do we want to have, and because we cannot copy paste the culture that the way we used to work and operate in a normal environment to this environment. And then it's going to take a lot of iterations and experimentation and practice until we start to steadying the curve and hopefully getting to a much even better position than we used to. Why not? So it's not about getting back to the same level of productivity, but I think that many teams can actually get back to even better levels. So if we go to this deep and we want to understand how people are dealing with emotions, we know that change, any type of change, even much more insignificant types of change, create an emotional loss. So when you change people, conditions, rules, whatever, there are lots of emotions that get in the way, and people feel that, okay, I lost control, I lost my narrative. So imagine a CEO or a senior executive that it's used to have his huge office, and when they're having a meeting, people come to his or her place and he feels in control. Well, in today's world, everyone joining through their laptops or computers with a camera, so that control no longer exists. And many senior executives actually are not comfortable with technology, are not being able to be the one who's managing the conversation, so that it's a lot of loss. There are people that are feeling incompetent, no? So they're feeling that they're not able to deal with this new environment, that they're not used to testing and experimenting and trying new technologies, and so they're feeling like that loss. There are some people that are feeling that they don't belong because they're used to maybe meet with your team for lunch every day, or the water cooler conversations, or grabbing a coffee together, and those experiences are lost. So it's harming how people work. So this is a tool that we have that's called Reframe the Lost Canvas, because first you have to name it so you can tame it. So what's the loss? How does it represent? Is it about pride? Is it about belonging? Is it loss of competence? So you have to capture that, work with your team, understand how the loss manifests, how it's affecting each of the team members. Are there some people that are maybe suffering from it more than others? And basically, who can help turn that loss into a win. This is a very powerful exercise. And I didn't mention this, but I'm going to be sending all the links to the tools and how to use them later when you get the recording of this video, of this webinar. And you're going to be able to sit with your team and start, okay, guys, how is this situation affecting us emotionally? How does this loss manifest? And how can we transform it into something positive? Another tool that we use to deal with team tensions, and now we're full of tensions for sure, is the cultural tension canvas. This tool helps understand the emotions, mindsets, and behaviors that are moving the team forward and those that are hindering collaboration or productivity and communication. So you can have a liberating mindset, a mindset that helps you be creative, grow as a team, or you can have a limiting mindset that basically gets the team stuck and doesn't help them progress. So I'm going to ask you to reflect a little bit on mindsets for now. So think about the types of mindsets. Mindsets are like the filters that we use to see reality, the beliefs that we have. What mindsets are your teams using now, or how are those mindset, limiting mindsets, affecting how your team work currently? So someone says fear. Jeffrey. So what limiting mindsets are affecting your team? We just need to write this out and it will go back to normal. Yeah, absolutely. We need to do something, not just write it out. Thanks, Anne-Marie. The work no longer matters. Yeah, that's harmful because the work still matters. So we need to balance the emotional tension, believing that the always the better way, lack of engagement, anxiety, they cannot do it attitude, uncertainty over what will happen in a few months. Clients don't need us right now. They're not buying. Yeah, I hear that a lot. That we are really partially remote, so we shouldn't have to adjust to it. No, that's not sure. We do things the best way, so don't need to change, unable to prioritize. So you see, there's a lot of mindsets, and we need to start like capturing those mindsets and discussing them with our teams. So that tool is really powerful in normal situations. We are using it now with teams, and all the tensions from an emotional mindset and behavioral standpoint are really, really important. So these are some examples for you to reflect. So mindset can block. When we say no to something, someone shares an idea, we say, no, that's not going to work. Boom, we're killing the brainstorming. But we can go with that, oh, yes, and I will try to build on someone else's idea. The notion that that's not how we do things here. This is one of the key limiting mindsets when it comes to innovation and growth. And in today's world, we need to switch it. How might we and start exploring new possibilities? Because there's no way that we can say, look, this is not going to work, because the way we used to do things here, whatever here means, the company, the team, no longer exists. We're in a new situation and we need to start playing with new rules. So the remote culture canvas is a simplified version of the tool that we use, and it's open for everyone to download it and use it for free as well. That is the remote design canvas, culture canvas. We create a streamlined version to help people, especially in this situation, to design how they want to work together in a remote environment. Because you cannot just let the team figure it out. We cannot just write it and it's going to go away. And it's not just about tools. Yeah, we have here one block that is about, okay, what tools, especially it's about video, a chat, whatever that we're going to be using. Tools and technology are important, but the issues and the many things that you mentioned, and we're hear a lot from different organizations that are affecting how they work remotely, it's cultural and it's not just about technology. So the first step, or the key goal of working with this remote culture canvas is for you to reflect on what are the things that were working, what are the things that were not working, and how can we create a remote experience that not only replicates or somehow connects us back to the good practices that we used to have when we were working in a normal situation, but also to think about what are the things that we can start experimenting and doing better now we are in a different environment. So start by working with your team members. You know, some people might have much more experience than you working remotely. In some companies, there are 2 or 3 people that used to work remotely all the time, and some people know. Some people maybe used to work at a company that everyone worked remotely. You know? So try to capture all those experiences and ask everyone from an individual standpoint to contribute, to say, okay, what has enabled effective remote work, you know, in your experience? Or what has hindered collaboration and productivity? So start asking these questions and everyone can contribute. You can have a online session where everyone can brainstorm to start getting the first kind of ideas of what it looks like to build an effective remote culture and what it doesn't. One of the building blocks of this remote culture canvas is about establishing priorities. And we use the even over format. That means that we are choosing one good thing over another good thing. So it's not that we're choosing profitability over losing money. No, it's about making choices that are hard. And also, for example, some companies have defined that they're choosing people's safety even over productivity. Not many companies have done that. No, here in the States, there's a debate if they need to reopen the economy, and people are saying, so what's more important, the economy or people? So when you have these choices, it's easier for everyone in the team or in the company to make decisions, because you're telling them, okay, it's better to trust each other that we're not going to be working close as we used to over the process. So maybe some balls are going to drop, maybe we're going to be making things perfect, but we're going to be trusting each other. So you need to make these choices. So these are just examples. Doesn't mean that you need to copy this, but when you're working on your canvas for your team, start thinking about, okay, what are the good thing even over another good thing that you're going to be choosing. Another thing, it's about psychological safety, no? That it's more important than ever. As I mentioned, trust is being put to the test nowadays because of distance, because of anxieties. And I think this is one of the notions that Pixar uses to communicate how they approach trust in the movie company. And it's trust means trusting someone even when they screw up. Because trusting people when they're doing everything fantastic, that's easy. But the most important thing about trust is how can we support our team when they're starting to fail or when things are not going that well. Another practice that I usually repeat that is key to start building psychological safety, which is the notion that everyone feels safe to speak up and share their ideas, is conversational turn taking. So giving each person in the room their turn to speak up, provide feedback, share their thoughts, whatever that means. So in today's world, when people are joining remotely with a camera, it's even harder for people that are maybe shy or minorities or women, or those that usually are more silent in regular occasions, for them to speak up. So you need to have someone to moderate the conversation and make sure that they are asking each one of the participants to provide feedback and checking to make sure that everyone is somehow engaged. So someone should be maybe doing the talking, but someone should be more of an observer, checking the people. Are people engaged? Are they looking at the camera? Does anyone feel that they need to add something, but they are not doing it? So providing this space for people to share and feel included and contribute, it's more important than ever. That we're working virtually doesn't mean that we should stay distant from our people, no? So communication is key. And some companies are somehow today over-communicating. At some point, that might be needed. At some point, communicating more things than usual is good to clarify things, but always remember to prioritize quality of communication over quantity. Don't expect people to be always online because people are working from home. They're homeschooling, like Anne-Marie said, their children. They are taking care of other chores. So it's more dramatic, no? So you need to find a way of what's going to be our communication rhythm in a way that we're staying in touch, that we're clear, but we're not saturating our team. clarifying, don't assume it's, I mean, we always have misunderstandings when we're talking face to face. When we're doing it remotely, using maybe more text than we used to, or video or other stuff, no? We need to start asking more questions to make sure that we get what people are trying to say. So double check. Practicing active listening, paying attention to the people that are in front of us. I always suggest people that you should take notes, writing down what people are saying, asking questions so you don't interrupt. It's a great trick for you to stay focused and not checking your phone or other device or looking at your kids that are around or whatever that's going to distract you from paying attention. And also important is we need to sense, no? Like what are the emotions, what are the tensions, and from time to time make sure that, okay, guys, is everyone following? Are you engaged with the conversation? Are you paying attention? How are you feeling? No? Monitor your team's emotion as well. Rituals. I mean, rituals are key in any culture. They define basically how we work together, how we collaborate. And rituals are not just about having fun, no? Rituals also can help us solve problems. But in a remote environment, they're very important because many of the rituals always happen in a physical environment. And when we lose those, then we feel that something is happening and we start like basically eroding a little bit the personal relationships. We know that strong personal relations is one of the top 3 aspects of high-performing teams. So people need to have strong relationships, not like each other, but respect each other and have a very strong way of working together, no? So Google suggests, this is one of the top 7 findings that Google discovered in a research that they did last year. I wrote an article on the topic, which is one of the key issues that they recommend is build strong relationships by checking in. So don't start the meeting, no, now. You're gonna have a meeting later today, next week, whatever. Don't start the meeting and just start talking about work. Give people some space to share how they're feeling. Do a check-in, like what did you do this weekend? How are you feeling? What's keeping you nervous? Something for people to download how they're feeling, and then you can move on and focus, but also to sense the energy, the emotions in the virtual room. Another thing that's important, no, virtual rituals keep the culture alive. And for example, this is a company that what they're doing is that everyone's sharing, if you have a pet or anything that you want to share, in a way to create this connection. Yeah, I'm working from home, but I'm bringing my personality, who I am, my personal life to the team meeting in order to create that bonding and remind everyone that, okay, we're apart, but we're here together. Simon Sinek's company, Simon Sinek Inc., practice a ritual that's called the huddle. And each Monday, I think it is, once a week, they meet for 90 minutes, the whole team, no, through a video, and they've been doing this before this crisis. And the huddle is all about building strong in-person, no, it's about building strong personal relationships. They talk about what they have at their hearts or minds and what are their worries and whatever, but they don't talk about work. So this is a 90-minute meeting that it's invested in building the team. Because when you have a strong team, as I mentioned before, then all the rest of the issues are going to be taken care of. You know? So it's important. Some people say, don't spend time talking about personal things because it's a waste of time. No, guys, the stronger the relationships, the stronger the work. Many times teams succeed because people don't trust each other because they don't know each other. They don't know anything. So how do you expect them to go to work together? Another aspect that's important in the Canvas one block is our rules. And most companies have a lot of norms and rules that regulate how people work together. No? How can you design norms in this new environment? No? Basically, balancing freedom and accountability. Trusting people, it's about giving them space, especially when we're not going to be closer and some people need to maybe shift their schedule. No? Maybe some people are used to work 9 to 5, but now what it might happen is that, oh, well, maybe some people need to take care of the kids because they're homeschooling. So yeah, I'm going to work from 9 to 11, but then from 11 to 2, I'm going to focus on my kids and then I'm going to get back to work. So it's more important that we focus on Are people delivering? Are people taking care of the projects, even if they're working around their own scale? No? So I think that's what are the new rules that you want to define and design with your team to adjust to this new norm. Virtual meetings are not the same as physical meetings. No, it's not just having a video. I mean, in any meeting, but in a virtual more than ever, you need someone to facilitate the experience. Someone that has a structure, that guides the conversation, that asks questions, that purposefully design how people are going to participate and when. As you can see, I asked you a couple of questions so far in different situations to make sure that, well, I'm getting feedback from you. I know that you're still are there, no, present, and you keep adding like comments and building on what I'm saying. No? Another thing is, in any environment, meetings need to be as short as possible, but this is a perfect opportunity. People cannot spend 2 hours or 3 hours on a video conference because they get bored. You know? So they get distracted, they're sitting down. Another thing that I hear a lot is now companies having too many meetings because of this situation. And in the past, people used to move from one physical room to another. So at least they have this break between rooms. And now they're just shutting off a meeting and turning on the camera to join another. So this is very stressful. There are some etiquettes that you need to agree with your team. No? For example, you might have a flex working schedule, but if we agree that we're going to have a team meeting, everyone's to join. It's important to stay and to start and end on time, no? Sticking to the calendar, because if not, it's going to become harder to manage. Everyone should put the camera on to make sure that you're showing people, hey, I'm here, I'm paying attention, but also the body language is critical for communications. If you're not speaking, turn the microphone on so people don't hear all the background noises. Be present and only jump in to say something if you ask to. If everyone's interrupting with audio at the same time, then it's chaotic, but also many people are experiencing issues with technology because of the high demand that everyone's basically online nowadays, more than ever. So this is how your Canvas should look like. These are just an example with some post-it that are random that I took for, let's call it, for lack of a better name, the ACME team. And so if you go through the process, and I'm going to send you an instruction of how to use the Canvas and reflect on the things that I was sharing, then you're going to be able to agree, okay, this is how we want to work remotely. And of course, be open to make changes, test it, see what works. But the most important thing is, if you're not aligned and excited about how you want to work together in this new reality, you're not going to succeed. So recapping, I mean, this is the curve that I show at the very beginning, no? This is the dip and how we can reframe with these two tools, the situation, then design the kind of remote culture they want to have. And then we start putting culture experiments, little things. Okay, we're going to start practicing this ritual. We're going to start using this new technology, whatever the experiment is. And depending on the outcome, you can choose to, okay, this is working, so we're going to scale it. It's not working, we're going to discard it, whatever the outcome is. And of course, this is an ongoing situation. We use these lovely lines to reflect that everything's smooth, but we know that change and getting out of this dip is going to be like a bumpy road. So this is not going to be linear and perfect. And you have to iterate using these tools, as we're doing with some of our team clients, the clients from our teams. So before we jump into the Q&A, I also want to share with you that we put together a program that's called Remote Proof Your Team, that basically captures all the essence and tools and method that I share, plus more. And it's not a training, but it's more of a design session. So basically we run this session with a team from a particular company. So it's not an open workshop that many people join, but basically each time we focus on a particular team. We do an assessment first, talk to some of the team members to see what are the issues, how they're coping with this new reality. We facilitate, of course, virtually a session where we help people work through the different tools, design the culture, and try to understand, okay, how we're going to work together, and finish the session with some concrete outcomes, a culture, a remote culture canvas filled, experiments that are going to be putting in place, and then we provide support and a report with the findings, the tools, and everything for them to move forward. So if some of you are interested and want to learn more or think that this might help your team, feel free to reach out. If not, you're open to try it on your own with the tools that I'm going to be sharing and everything that we discussed today. So the most important thing at the end is we're all going to get back to a new normal, whatever that is. And it's important that we go there and we get there with a different mindset and with different tools. So it's not about letting go of everything that we used to do, because there are some great practices that teams need to continue having when they get back to regular work. But also you're going to learn new practices, new rituals, new tools, new ways of working during these challenging times. So how can you merge both, and then bring back those to the new reality? Okay, so now it's time for you to share any questions you might have regarding what I would do. Here, Anne-Marie sharing that we need to make sure we're capturing these lessons along the way so we don't forget them. Absolutely. So it's important to continually, once a week, reflect and ask the team to, okay, share with me, what have you learned? What's helping us move forward? What's not? And keep those lessons so we can bring them back to the workplace. Thanks, Anne-Marie. So do you have any questions, any comment, or something you want me to address? Now it's the time. And if not, of course, you can always reach out. That's my email. And those are the links for my blog if you want to read more articles about this topic that I have and tools. And Marie's asking about collaboration tools. So she's asking about Zoom. I'm using Zoom. I'm using it for a webinar like this, but I also like for video. Zoom has a great tool, which is the breakout rooms. So basically when we're facilitating workshops with different teams, we can break them out in smaller rooms. So people brainstorm, work on different tools, and then get back to the larger room when they're done. I'm also using Mural, which is a tool that is great for collaboration, which allows people to work on these canvases that I showed you before. We recreate a canvas on Mural, and people can work on virtual Post-its that are there, and people start capturing their notes on Post-it, and they can move them around. The tool allows people also to vote when they're brainstorming on ideas, So that's a tool that we use a lot. Basically, most of the work we're doing is Zoom and Mural, and then Slack, that we also have that for coaching and support and sharing stuff with people, and more like a short touch base to see how things are going. When we're coaching teams, we create Slack groups for that team in particular, and also share like insights and things for that team, or they ask questions through the Slack channel. Then Marco's asking if they see someone that is not used to share her feeling, how to create a safe space for people to open up. CEO or team leader, right? Thank you for the question. I think that sometimes it requires coaching, so you cannot expect CEOs to open up like magically. In some cases, I've seen a lot of senior executives that they went through a personal disruption or divorce or loss or something, and then boom, it was like a shock that then they started opening up. But in most cases, it's great to have a coach, an executive coach or something that can help the team, the leader start like acknowledging that. And also it all depends on some leaders are not open, but still they are mature enough to hear feedback. And I think that getting feedback from their direct reports to say, you know what, maybe you need to start opening up, and give them some tools for them to practice could be. But I think that coaching is critical, because if the leader doesn't open up, it's going to be harder for the rest of the team to do that. Also, if you're part of a team and your leader is not encouraging these kind of conversations, you can still have those conversations without your leader. It's unfortunate, but you have to find your way around. So someone within the team needs to take that, because leadership is a role, not a title. So someone needs to step up and say, guys, we need to start having these conversations. We need to start rethinking about how we work together, what are our intentions, and take those, no? I see that someone else says that they're facing the same challenge, no? As leaders, not teaching others to change. Yeah. I think that vulnerability is also an important aspect. So as I mentioned earlier, no one knows what's the right solution is going to be. So I think that leaders need to embrace that, you know, that, okay, guys, we are lost, but we're all in this together. So if you want your team to help, I think that showing that you don't have the answer, it's great, because people are going to respect you for being honest and being human, and they're going to try to help you. When you as a leader try to show that you know it all, and you're in charge, people are going to say, okay, figure it out, and then tell us what to do. So I think in today's, as Lucia is telling, that vulnerability is so needed, no? So it's a tough time, because it's not only disrupting productivity and collaboration from a team standpoint, but also it's challenging leaders, because they're lost and they need to recognize that. If not, they're going to be in a harsh situation, no? And we have someone talking about the huddle. Yeah, that's something that Simon Sinek's company use. Yeah, they use a 90-minute. I think that you should start Abdella with something shorter. Start with maybe a 15, 20 minute, depending on, of course, how many people you have. No, you have to give each person at least 1-2 minutes and have some back and forth conversation afterward. But maybe start with a shorter 20, 30 minutes session with your team. Don't try to go too long, because people are going to feel like intimidated. And Marie's sharing that it's important to remember that as well, is that the leader may be working through their own emotions. So no, we can reach out to them as well and ask them, okay, how can we support you? How can we support the team or the organization? I think that's important to offer that up, not to offer help. So help and feedback work both ways. So don't expect for your boss to ask for help. Sometimes you can say, no, like, what can I do for the company? Maybe if you ask a boss, like, oh, what can I do for you? They're going to feel intimidated if they're not used to that conversation. But maybe it's, okay, what can I do to help you and the team succeed and start like, but thank you for the suggestion, Anne-Marie, great point. So any other comment or questions before we wrap it up? Okay, so I guess that's all. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Thank you for your time, and thank you for all the contributions and questions and support. And I hope you guys can use some of this, and it helps you move your team forward. As I mentioned before, we're living a very challenging time, so we all need to step up. We all need to do whatever we can and offer our help and support and ideas, no matter how small they are, because any idea is welcome in today's world, guys. So don't be shy. And I hope you enjoy this session, and looking forward to stay in touch with you guys, and have a great day, and let me know if I can help you somehow. And of course, I want to learn how you apply some of these tips and tools, and if you're having a positive experience, let me know. So thank you again, and have a great day. And I appreciate having you all here. Bye-bye.